Hey,
Hey, cowboy.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. It's another day of SDJ. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Bing bong.
Bing bong, bing bong.
Ben
Synthwave. Ben.
Where's Ben?
Great, now
Where's Murr?
Ben and Murr's missing. Oh my gosh. All right.
Bam and M.
Bam and
Ben
M.
and M. Bam and M.
A B&M club.
Hey, there we are, right there on the side.
Somewhere,
Yeah,
somewhere. Deep
Mm-hmm.
in the heart of space.
I think Ben is taking a giant.
Oh, maybe. Well, I don't know, but
Is
he
he
better Henry up over here.
Is he Is Mars here?
Is he ever truly here? I mean, really, when you think about it, is he ever truly here?
Good question. I've been asking myself that for 2 years now.
Existential.
Oh, thank
Existential.
Hey!
Whoa. We're back at it. We're live.
Well.
Are we live?
We're
Live.
so live right now.
Live!
Like,
Wow.
really live.
Like live. Like,
It's
we're
live,
talking about
it's live.
adrenaline needle to the heart live.
Oh yeah, it's the best kind of live.
All the hair sticking up.
It's going to be a good show.
Where's
Right?
Mars?
Well,
So
it would
good.
be a good show if Murs was here.
Well,
You know, but
wait,
whatever.
Murs is in here?
No!
Until a minute ago, it was just Josh. Oh well, I think that's me. Oh my
Knock knock
God.
jokes in our private chat.
Actually,
There
no,
he
that
is.
was-
Hey.
The knock knock was. I left
Murs
the
is
room.
on Mars.
Oh, I got a
Murs
joke.
on
Knock knock.
Mars.
Knock knock.
No.
Who's there? Are knock knock jokes considered dad jokes?
They can be. Why can't they be?
Well, when is a joke a dad joke?
When it becomes,
When it becomes apparent.
apparent.
Hey!
Wow. Y'all been
It's kind of on a web
indoctrinated.
page, so
We can finish each other's.
Dad jokes.
There we go.
Yeah. Probably when we finish each other's jokes.
Yeah,
We're connected.
knock knock jokes would be a form of a dad joke, right?
All right, I got another one. You ready? It's a good
Or
one. Knock,
are there
knock, knock.
knock knock jokes, and some of them are dad jokes and some are not? I don't know. I'm hurting
Well, if
my
I'm
brain
the-
right now.
I think actually no. Knock knocks are sort of like a subgroup of
Right.
dad jokes.
Subgenre.
I mean, just you know, like knock knock. Who's there? Boo, boo hoo.
Up with
Don't cry. It's just a joke. You know, that's a dad joke right in there.
That is a dad joke. It's gotta be punny.
What if I went slam slam because I was angry?
Slam slam. Slam slam.
Smash. Smash smash.
Smash.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Oh, come on, man. I can smell that all the way over here in Seattle.
That's right. It's the mighty power.
You can smell it in Seattle. I can't smell it up here in Snohomish. So
Oh, lucky you.
lucky.
It's because
lucky.
I'm all man, baby.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
Doing extensive military testing of spaz parts.
Hey, the government did it. It's their fault.
You think Murs is gonna show up?
Well, he can show up physically, mentally. I don't know.
He's in a pizzeria in a basement doing something with something. I'm starting a conspiracy.
A
I'm calling it
conspiracy.
conspiracy.
Huh. You're a conspiracy.
I was born
Not
in-
wrong.
Hey!
You're such a gas.
9.
Where's Murs? He's
7,
usually here by now.
6.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
0.
Uh-oh. I better...
Lift off.
I could not get past the mute button.
Hey-oh!
Oh, what's up, guys?
Is
Forgot it.
There's a Murs.
Skip,
We were holding
skip,
our breath.
Skip.
Leave
Skip
it.
and skip, demon skip.
Leave it to Beaver and leave it to the mute button to mess everything up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
here we are. We are so live right now, and we're going to get started.
We're alive and pixelated.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
Yo.
Here we go.
What is an English major's favorite dinosaur? A thesaurus. This is Sexy Dad Jokes.
Hello, this is Johnny Spaz, and welcome to Sexy Dad Jokes. Hey, Benjamin, why was the interior designer considered ableist?
Oh, goodness. I can't hear you too well, but why was the interior designer considered ableist?
Because he hated the blinds?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Wow.
Johnny Spaz, you are really able to deliver that joke.
Oh my goodness.
Bruh.
Hey, what happens when you act like an ableist on Nintendo's servers?
What?
You get Wii moved from the game?
Jeez.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hey guys, what finger gesture is best used when dealing with mean ableists?
What?
The middle finger!
Finger gesture!
Oh, wow. Golly, that joke what really was a finger jab.
Ah,
Square 50s guy.
What does the FCC and Snapchat have in common?
What?
What?
They love filtering people.
Oh, Square 50s guy. Way to snap into a dad joke there. Snap into a slim joke. All right, everyone. All together now. Welcome to Sexy Dad Jokes. That was beautiful. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're so live right now. Welcome back to another episode of Sexy Dad Jokes, the show where we strive to become better men through a healthier form of manliness. And today we are live. Woo! We're so live that there we go. We're live! Yeah. Oh, yeah. Doesn't that feel nice? The liveness of it all? Okay.
So live.
It's as always, I'm Ben Jammin, along with Johnny Spaz,
Yeah.
Mers, Josh Richards,
Howdy, howdy.
and the everable Square 50s guy, Richard Richards the Third Jr. Got to get that right.
You better get that right or else I'll sue.
Oh,
Libel. Look
Oh.
out.
Libel indeed.
Richard is litigious.
A
Okay,
live libel.
today we're going to do something a little bit unusual, so bear with us here. We're actually going to call ourselves out a little bit and challenge ourselves in the language we've been using in our everable pursuit to be better men. So I don't even know how this is all going to turn out, but I thought, let's grapple with this in real time together and just see where things go, because that's what we do here, right? So today's episode is about ableism, and the thinking was, so we came across this article that came out about Beyonce and Lizzo, two singers, who came out with albums recently and actually went back and changed the lyrics to certain songs to remove the term spaz,
What?
which is considered by some to be an ableist slur. And obviously we have a gentleman on this show.
How do we remove him? That's my question. Like,
I knew it was coming.
we're halfway there. Look at him. We can barely see him. Like he's almost transcended into the next realm. So my curiosity is, how do we get that to go the rest of the way?
We
So
have
all
him
we
say
see
his
is the
name
feet.
backwards. Does he go back to his original
Zap.
dimension? Zap. Zap.
Zaps. Okay, well, so that's the question, right? I honestly don't know what to do with that and what to make of it, but I want to explore this. I want to understand it. I want to understand when is it a slur and when isn't it a slur? Why are people hurt by that word? And what should we do about it, if anything? I don't know. Let's dig into it, because that's what we do as good men. Is we're not defensive when things come up. We embrace it. We lean into the conversation and at least try to understand it. And then it's up to us to decide how we want to act accordingly after we take in the new information, right? So we're going to be doing that in real time. We haven't really talked about, there was a text thread that kind of went on a little bit, but we haven't even talked about it as a group. And I'm not even sure Johnny knew this was going to happen.
He barely showed up for it.
He gets put off the island. The tribe has spoken.
But hey, it'll make for interesting television here. So
Who hasn't
Okay.
voted yet? That's the question. Why is he still on the island halfway?
I like it.
Just one more vote to break the tie.
I like it because I have eyes.
If we could just get a few more votes to get Spurs off the island, that'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah.
oh, Maga Man's back. All right.
Maga
Oh,
Man.
fuck, he's always going to find a way.
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so that's the show today, and but first, as always, we couldn't do this show without the most important piece of the puzzle. All of you out there listening, watching, and enjoying us, being with us on this journey. So, thank you. Last episode, a couple weeks ago, we celebrated our 20th show of Sexy Dad Jokes, and we're inching ever closer to celebrating us doing this for 2 years now. But none of this would have been possible without all of you out there supporting us, cheering us on, and sharing your thoughts on what we're doing with this show. And speaking of sharing thoughts, we had some feedback come in from some of our previous episodes. So let's look at that real quick. This is from Paul Stayback. He said, and this was in reference to our Freedom show when we the episode we did right after the Supreme Court ruling around Roe v. Wade. And let's see. Paul says, hope this finds you well. Just finished the freedom/abortion episode. Sorry, I'm in episode 2 or 2 behind. I'm family leave. Tend to listen on iTunes, etc., etc. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Paul. I think that this was one of your better episodes, and I wanted to share why, as it was a bit of a departure, I think. There was some disagreement during the episode, which allowed some back and forth and some real discussion. That brought a depth that I enjoy with a group discussion. I think that disagreement and the discussion and nuance that came to the exchange as a result really made this stand out as a strong episode. Should you go longer than an hour, such as a radio show where they go 3 hours. There was a lot to flesh out there, and you guys seemed really up to the task. That's my 2 cents, which is now only worth 1, but I thought I would share. Be well and be safe. We'll keep listening. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Sounds like he's saying we need to be arguing more.
Well, that's
I'm
what
sure
I
we
took from
can
it,
do
but
that.
that sounds like the beginning of an argument.
Well, I disagree.
20% more MERS.
At least.
Yeah,
You know-
we'll have to work in some more arguments.
I can handle that. I'll do my best. But
Looking
first,
at you, Mers.
I just I don't agree with the way that you're handling this whole situation. So it's just what it is. Did you think this is what was going to happen?
Oh, we knew.
we knew it was going to happen.
Eventually, there'd be a civil war.
Oh my god. People need to stop with that Civil War nonsense. Seriously, it's annoying.
What, like the Marvel? Isn't there a movie like that?
Nah, yeah, but that's not the one. So are we blaming Marvel for?
Oh, the civil. You mean that it was that Revolution was trending on Twitter?
Yeah, it's like.
You mean
I'm
Dance
like,
Dance Revolution?
really?
Yeah,
You're
that's
gonna
the
go
one.
out like search for people with like Democrat signs in their yard and what?
Oh,
Do what?
no,
Kill
that's-
people?
That's not gonna happen.
Boy,
Well,
that
I'm
convo
saying-
really went to a dark place there.
Yeah, I don't know why we're
I
in this
heard-
part of the
And it's
conversation.
daytime, so we shouldn't even be going dark yet.
I heard one thing, and then I'm gonna drop it. It's like one thing I
One.
heard about Trump was
2.
he gives people
3.
permission to be their
3.
worst selves, and I thought that was like really accurate.
Okay. Oh
That's it.
goodness, I did not view this yet. Why can't I read this? Why isn't this working? It says there's
she
3
said.
messages. Oh,
Well,
goodness.
oh, it's just
Well,
knock jokes.
Yeah,
oh,
it's
thank
probably-
goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
so-
not missing much.
So
Oh, I got a
Paul,
knock-knock joke. Sorry. go
Yeah,
ahead.
thanks, Paul. Appreciate the letter. Anybody else, keep them coming. Let us know.
yeah, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
We'll work in more arguments. I think Mers is up to the task.
No, we won't. We're not going to do that, Ben. I'm not going to work in any more arguments. I don't care what you say.
There it is.
I disagree.
One more note from our dear friend Tracy out in Florida. And she says, listen to the latest SDJ while in the shower. Great place to listen to the show, by
Wow.
the way.
That is wonderful.
That's a long ass shower, man.
That is
I do it all the
wow.
time.
How much hot water do you have in Florida? Do you just take showers with water that's been heated up by the sun?
That's just
Yeah,
a
how it
Sunday
works.
afternoon for Florida, you know.
And just in general, just being naked while listening to sexy dad jokes is the sexiest thing
This
anyone
is
can
the
do.
sexy. This is Ben Sexy coming straight on out. He's been jamming it somewhere.
We know the noises that soothe you.
Okay, so Tracy says, you guys get funnier and funnier as time goes on. Smiley face. The chemistry is brilliant. Is it? Is it though?
No, it's not, Ben. Let's argue about it.
I
Looking
disagree.
forward to the day when everyone takes their homework seriously and really answers the questions. I was
Wow.
She's like
Wow.
taking us a
Coming
task
in.
there.
Okay, I said something about criticism. I don't need that much criticism. Like we can.
Bring in the
Yes,
shade.
you do. Yes, you
Yeah.
do.
Oh, I need the criticism. Let's discuss this, shall we, Josh?
That's 96 degrees in the shade right there.
Okay,
Look.
it's getting so hot over here. I think this dumpster fire is really behind me. It's ridiculous. Do
It's
your
adding to the
homework.
immersion.
Yeah, I'm getting
Immersion.
Of the green screen.
Immersion.
Immerse yourself.
Yeah, I think Tracy is referring to our idol
Yeah.
episode. Who are our role models? Our rail? Who are
Ferrara?
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera?
who are our horseradish roddles?
I'll take the horseradish for 500.
Alex?
Yeah, I'll take anal bum cover.
That's what your mother said last night. Going live. We're so live.
Let's watch a mother.
Get me a dog. Get me a dog. What's a dog say? Ruff.
That's what your mother said.
No, moo.
Okay,
like what
sure.
you-
Okay,
That's
we're done
terrible.
doing SNL.
That's terrible. That's mommist.
That's
Okay.
momist.
Anyways, I think Tracy's
navel.
referring to the rail role model episode, where we had a homework assignment to come back with who are our role models in life, and Tracy's still looking forward to that day when people take their homework seriously and really answers the questions. I was very impressed with Josh's answers.
Oh,
Makes
come
me want
on.
to learn more about the Disney guy.
He had the fucking
Iger,
answer
right?
book. He had the fucking answer book. He was the one that wrote the question and assigned the homework. Of course, he's going to finish it. He's got the teacher's fucking manual in his hands.
He is the
Jesus,
teacher.
Tracy, come on.
He's
Not
for
fair.
Oh,
Talk
sounds
for
like
himself.
someone didn't do their homework.
Look,
Somebody's-
my mom was trying to help me, and then she had to go close the diner. There wasn't time.
I
Shit,
can
he's
feel
dog-hated.
your jealousy. Let it flow through
Oh, I'll let it go.
the fire that you are.
He's going to the dark side.
You can't have Obi-Wan Kenobi without Darth Vader. That's how it fucking works.
Sure you can. It would just be boring.
You know what you can have, though? You can have two droids that are hilarious without Jar Jar Binks ever being introduced.
You know what I never thought of? It's like, do they have sex robots in Star Wars?
Yes.
Really?
Just out of nowhere. He don't need to sell death sticks anymore.
I'm gonna go home. Rethink my life.
You don't need to use the sex bot anymore. The sex
I
droid,
don't
if
use
you will.
sex bot anymore. We're gonna go.
Whoa, the sex droid. Oh, goodness. Things are getting spicy here on Sexy
Videos
Dad
on
Jokes.
YouTube, these Star Wars people that are super fans, and they make these Star Wars video like lore and stuff, and they said like Jedi weren't allowed to have like extramarital relations and stuff.
Yeah, that's.
And there was a thing that said they did, but then they have a whole bunch of kids live there, and I was like, is it? This leads bad places.
Yeah, they take the kids at a very young age and then indoctrinate them into the religion of the Jedi. Oh yeah. Okay, so we've lost it. It's gone completely off the fucking rails. We had a discussion before we met.
One eternity later.
Nice.
So,
All right.
thank you all so much for your feedback and support. Keep sending them in so we can go off the rails and never get the actual conversation done.
All right. That's chemistry.
I think this calls for
This is the part the Square 50s guy Josh hates the most. He hates that. You can just tell
Spit
every
on
time
script.
he plays. How dare you!
What?
This took me 4 days. But
Okay.
now,
Anyways, we're back with some we've had some lighter episodes. We try to balance it out. We don't want to throw too much at you all at once. We want to spread it out the best we can. So thank you all for the support and feedback, and we can't wait for more, especially what we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, you may have noticed we've had some kind of lighthearted episodes and get some moments of levity there. But now we're back with a little more of a serious topic. And that's sort of in regard to some things that have been going around recently.
Oh, like you mean the new Mar-a-Lardo raid map for Call of Duty?
oh, it could be Rainbow Siege too. Either one.
Rainbow Siege.
Tom
Oh.
Clancy, come on! You've never played Siege? It's awesome. I
Oh,
love
I
Siege.
thought that was a Ron DeSantis joke.
Well, let's hope that they don't have an insurrection in the capital of Florida.
You know, stop woke, whatever that means.
I don't even know how that works.
I don't know.
No, Johnny Spaz. Though maybe we'll revisit that in another episode. But today we're going to be looking at the scenarios of ableism happening in culture today, and we have a lot to talk about, including how it affects someone on this show's last name. Wink, wink. Hint, hint. And we will also be discussing this with the help of a special guest today, too. So there's going to be lots to unpack here.
Hold your horses, Buckaroo Ben.
It's Squirrel, this guy!
And I couldn't help hearing about all this ableism and censorship jibber-jabber here, and I thought I'd share a quick tale of an adventure I had that fits well with today's show.
Oh, really, Square 50 Sky? Well, go ahead. The floor is yours.
So, this happened to me the other day when I was off visiting the state of Rhode Island.
Ooh.
So this is the state of Rhode Island, eh? Gotta say, I'm not too impressed by what is up in the far corner area of America. Nothing but fishing boats and harbors as far as the eye can see. Gotta say, this place really isn't making me feel happy as a clam.
Sure, sounds more like you're being a grumpy grouper.
Gee, Willikers, who in the Sam Hill are you?
My name's Peter. Who are you, stranger?
Stranger? I certainly are no stranger, 'cause I'm Richard Richards the Third Jr.
Junior, eh? I guess that means you'll have to wait to become the third senior to get the senior discount, huh?
You better watch your mouth, mister. Otherwise, you're gonna get the catch of the day special. A fresh sea salted knuckle sandwich.
Oh, hey, no need to be hostile, buddy. I'm just trying to have a friendly conversation.
Whoever said I needed to have a friendly conversation, Porky?
Whoa. Hey, fella, first off, the name's Peter. Second, that is just downright mean thing to say.
Mean? I'm no beatnik. I was simply stating the obvious, while adding a punch of humor at the same time.
Well, it was more punchy than funny, mister. Almost as bad as the time I went to a Mike Tyson stand-up show.
What now?
It doesn't matter. What matters is you gotta be careful what you say nowadays, Richard.
Why? Is the Red Menace gonna come and commie duct tape my mouth forever?
I don't know about the Red Menace, but the FCC might stop by, or the PC police, or even the grammar Nazis. But more importantly, there are just words that shouldn't be said, because it's far more insulting and offensive than they appear. It's even worse because it can show people you might be, an ableist.
Care to elaborate, Mr. Peter?
Sure. See, there are some words that maybe at one time meant one thing, but nowadays it means something entirely different. Like the word queer. The term was once a slur, and it's since been reclaimed by the LGBTQ plus community to express a spectrum of identities and orientations that are counter to the mainstream.
Oh, the LPTB what? I thought we could still just call them, fat.
Whoa! Not anymore, pal. That's a terrible word that has caused great harm to people. Lives have been lost over slurs like that. It just ain't cool, buddy. It just ain't cool.
Golly, this world really has changed. Well, how about when someone does something really stupid, like using pogo sticks on my lawn? can I still say that what they did was retarded?
No! At no point! At that point, you're offending the intellectually disabled.
Well, how about if someone is ducking in and out of traffic like a bat out of hell, or someone who just won't keep their mouth shut and talk their heads off? Can I call them a spat?
Ah, jeez, Richard, no! No and no again. All those words are as bad as Donald Trump trying to reenact the Sharon Stone scene from Basic Instinct. You gotta realize, Richard, that words of yesteryears are not what they once were. They either mean something completely different or have no place in society now. Before you start flapping your gums, you should take the time to catch up on the terms that should be used in conversation so that you're not unintentionally causing harm to someone else. And if you do, and someone objects, don't get defensive. Lean into the conversation and use it as a learning opportunity. By doing so, you'll turn a confrontation into a chance to build a new friendship. At the same time, you gotta respect those who are not like you, whether they're unable to see, walk, hear, or be slim like you. Regardless of the characteristics, they are your fellow neighbor. Treat them like family, treat them with respect, and they'll do the same for you. You're not a real man if you don't treat everyone fair.
Spoken like a true diplomat there, Peter. You quench my thirst better than the milkman on milkshake day. There's an entendre in there, I just don't know what. You're not such a bad fella after all. Say, you know what? I think I can not only help myself learn better lingo, Daddy-O, but I can help others as well. I think a book is what's needed to help the modern man tame his modern tongue. Thanks for the inspiration, Peter.
Don't mention it. Don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, hey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, Square 50's guy. There he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Whoop.
Nope.
Oh, well,
So live.
do it live.
So live.
Square 50's guy getting advice from a family guy. Richard's doing the best he can, though, isn't he? I will say it's kind of a sad state of affairs when it's up to Peter Griffin to be the voice of reason in a conversation, right, Josh?
Oh, yeah, coming from the man who once said,
Gosh, it's not like the internet can go crazy about something small and stupid.
That's okay.
What? Oh.
I can see Johnny again. Well, not really.
Well, speaking of internet going crazy, that's something we actually saw happen recently. So I mentioned at the top that we recently came across, some articles, some news that was a bit concerning. So here, I'll share my screen here.
Oh, the one with all the passwords?
Oh, you don't want to go there.
what if we
Yeah. So,
What if I do?
do? What if we do?
oh.
What are they passwords to? The orange site?
Yeah, I mean, it's like just YouTube channels about kittens and stuff.
Witness
that's
the
how I
fire
like
about
to
this
spend
fully
my-
armed and operational password page.
Oh, Emperor. Okay, Palpatine. So yeah, we came across these articles, and it just really made me want to learn more about what's going on here. So I'm just going to read some of this. Twice in the past couple of months, a musical superstar changed the lyrics. This is on Slate, by the way. To a new song to avoid a problematic slang term, spaz. First came Lizzo, whose songs Girls, Girls, released as a single in June, originally included the lyric, I'm a spaz. After online outrage over the word being an ableist slur, Lizzo changed the line to Hold Me Back. And this week, this was a couple weeks ago, Beyonce announced she would update the song Heated off Renaissance, her first solo album in 6 years, after receiving similar criticism. The line "spazzin' on that ass," spaz on that ass.
Hey,
Could you read that again in just a slightly different vernacular?
Spazzin' on that ass, spaz on that ass. Is that right?
I'd like to hear Michael Caine say it.
Spazzing on that ass, spaz on that ass.
Josh,
come on,
can you help me out here?
Yeah.
Want to say, I'm a spasm on that ass. I'm a spasm on that ass. Right, Joe?
My name's Barack, and I'm here to say.
What if we had Maggie?
Look, here's the deal. We
that
have
ass.
to always...
Blast
what-
on that ass.
What does Randy Macho Man have to say about that?
Randy doesn't do requests your last name that's politically incorrect.
Wow, Macho Man's woke.
What?
Quit being triggering and just be woke. That's all you gotta do.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Savage. Okay.
I think if Alfred from
Savage.
Batman, I think if Alfred from Batman read those lyrics, it would be the best, and it wouldn't be harmful anymore.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Thankfully, we have the high ground.
Indeed.
Okay.
So anyway, there were a bunch of in Australia and in the UK. Spaz is a derogatory term, and is associated with cerebral palsy. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, something like that. Well, let's.
Well,
I
how
will
would I
just read
ever
this.
know that? I'm America.
Right.
Okay, so in both cases, disability advocates critique the use of the word spaz as derogatory against those with spastic diplegia, a common form of cerebral palsy. Hannah Devaney, a writer from Sydney, Australia, that cerebral palsy went viral in June with a tweet admonishing Lizzo to, quote, do better. And then when Beyonce's song came out, she said in a Guardian article that her, quote, heart sank. Here's Hannah's actual tweet. Hey, Lizzo, my disability, cerebral palsy, is literally classified as spastic diplegia, where spasticity refers to unending painful tightness in my legs. Your new song makes me pretty angry and sad. Spaz doesn't mean freaked out or crazy. It's an ableist slur. It's 2022. Do better.
See, I feel like this is, and again, who am I? What do I know? From in my time, I mean, look at my nickname here. That nickname has nothing to do with my well, maybe a condition, but more of a less physical and more mental.
Well, I would say, first off, your nickname came about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like literally 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. And I would say the spirit of that nickname actually is about what Hannah said, freaked out or crazy, right? She says spaz doesn't mean freaked out or crazy, which is how I think most people would use the term.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are those who would also use the term as a slur, which is why like that has then caused harm and made the word a traumatic experience to hear for some. But I will say, coming from Johnny's perspective, it wasn't at all meant as a slur. It was more towards the other definition of freaked out or crazy or and yeah. So I think it's worth acknowledging that distinction of like where that came from.
Right. I even hear
I have on my side here, I have like two definitions of the word spaz. I have the Merriam-Webster definition. So it's a definition of spaz, S-P-A-Z. Slang, often offensive. It means one who is inept. First used in 1965. Now, we laugh at that might sound like someone we know who's kind of in camouflage right now, but we go to obviously.
Hey, he got his video to work today. Okay.
I know.
Florida Flage.
We want to disagree. I disagree. You got to work it, but it still looks like. But but that was the Merriam-Webster dictionary, but the definition. But then Urban Dictionary has this to say about spaz: S-P-A-Z-Z. A person, either male or female, who can be very overdramatic, moody, weird, quirky, flamboyant, annoying, suggestive, passionate, passive-aggressive, and or socially awkward. Someone who says very disturbing, mind-boggling, and or hilarious random things, often at the most inappropriate times. Someone who is very eccentric and alternative in their manner of being emotionally and or physically expressive. And there's a term.
See, I said fitting. Never have I been so aptly named.
Yeah. So
passive aggressive though, no, that's not me, but the other stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically your bio.
Can I just
right
say something real? I gotta say something. See, words don't have meanings; they have usages, and that's what definitions are. It's a usage. So if a word can have and mean more than one thing, now certain things that are said, whether it's a gender slur or a racist slur or something like that, I've never seen the word spaz associated with that style of slur, if you will. I'm going with the Urban Dictionary. To me, it's just as justifiable as Webster and whoever Merriam is.
So I think we have a lot to talk about. I don't want to bring up the definition of spaz or how this nickname came to be as trying to defend him or us.
Sure.
But I really just want to state that the name came from a loving, good place.
Right.
What we do about this now, like we're going to talk about, but really want to emphasize that it was in no way meant as a slur. It was a fun-loving term given to Johnny with great love and respect. So, before we go further, I would like to welcome a guest that we have on the show here. So, Mers, do you want to introduce your guest, our guest?
Yeah, this is my brother Jake, well, you can say something about yourself if you want.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Yes, I can sign. I can talk. When you talk about ableism, I sign ableism. It's like, help the old lady across the street. Ableism. That's one thing.
So this goes on a podcast too, so those people won't be able to see you sign.
Okay, so I grabbed Mike's arm and I picked it up like I'm helping an old lady across the street with holding her arm. Sorry, thank you for that. But really, I was born hearing. I lost my hearing as a baby due to spinal meningitis. My parents struggled with the doctors to figure that out. Then when they found out I was deaf, they made sure they gave me the best tools they thought would help me succeed. Now, they had to figure that out. And even today, we still have parents trying to figure that out because of the medical world and society. Look, I got this right here. Give me a minute here.
So, yeah, what we want to do is kind of talk about. Have you talk to us about like what's a derogatory term for deaf people?
Hearing impaired.
Okay, there you go.
Hearing impaired, because yes, it's a medical term, but that implies something that needs to be fixed. I mean, there is no other disabled community that had that term so freely used.
Impaired.
You know,
Sight impaired, you don't say that about blind people. Mentally impaired, you don't say that about somebody who maybe is dyslexic or something, right? So we just say, oh, that's dyslexic. So when you say hearing impaired, that's
That's so interesting. I never would have. Never would have really thought about that.
We don't need to be fixed.
Right, because that's what it's implying is you're impaired, therefore it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
I learned that in college. I took 2 semesters of ASL. So I sign a little bit. So, but I've appreciated that because I used to go to different meetups that we would have to integrate and meet with the deaf culture, not deaf people. So there was the big D deaf culture and little d deaf. So it was different things. I know a little tiny bit about it, but go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. And we need to get away from that too, because there's a social imbalance in using that term too, of a little d and a big D, because then it fucks everything up for everybody when we start putting labels on everybody for reasons that we don't need to be putting labels, you know? Now, we do need a label like neurodivergent, because then it tells us, oh, this person is different. They interact with us different, so we got to learn how to shift our dynamic of communicating with each other when we hear things. But when you when you say things like boys will be boys because they're bullying somebody because they're different, that's allowing the ableism and perpetuate toxic injury to happen to each of us. It's not only happening to the person that's being bullied, but the bullier too, because they don't understand how they're hurting themselves by hurting another person. Because later in life, something happened to them, and all of a sudden they're on the same side as I was, and they don't know how to cope. And like, well, what the fuck, So, I mean, we got to start that in school. We got to start enabling self-advocacy. Say the word.
Self-advocacy.
That. And having adults learn to listen to children better and treat children more as equals in a way, so that children can feel safer. And if they feel safer growing up, they're going to be better, more balanced adults, and we're going to interact better, instead of the toxicality that we see today of Trumpism or leftism, socialism. We just throw all these different labels around, including ableism, racism, sexism, because it's buzzwords, it's fun, it sells, divide, it's divisive, whatever you say that word. Also,
so let me ask you this, Jake.
Yeah.
We're talking about an article, which I think you missed, unfortunately, but that's okay.
Talking about what?
An article was written.
Yeah.
In the Guardian in the UK, right? Okay. It's about Beyonce and Lizzo.
Mm-hmm.
They do music.
Yeah.
They said, I'm going to spaz on that ass.
Oh, okay.
Spaz on that ass.
Right.
And then something else, I can't remember what the other quote was, but it meant
they made a big up one.
I'm gonna be a spaz, like fight you was the other one, right? I'm gonna spaz out. Yeah. So Beyonce and Lizzo, after somebody from Australia said that is a very derogatory term. I have spastic diplegia,
Yeah.
right? We know what that is.
Yeah,
We get
yeah.
it. I think Yarton's mom had it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
No, your mom had MS.
oh, okay.
Anyway, totally different thing. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
But wait, is there? I want to get to. So people in UK and Australia said that's bad. Don't use it.
Right.
Right. Is there a word that you know of like that for deaf culture or deaf people in another country?
I think it's more. I have a book at home somewhere that has hand signs. Like a thumbs up in Australia, it's bad. It's like the middle finger, basically. Or and I could be wrong, but I remember reading this years ago. The middle finger in Chinese can mean brother 2 weeks.
That's very
you know,
interesting.
well, here in America, it means fuck off. Or
So now wait, I guess the next part of that is in the United States, spaz.
It's a bad word, but
it's not well known
right.
that it's referring to somebody with that condition.
Right.
So we don't think of it that way, but they think of it that way in the UK and Australia. So then my question, or what we're kind of trying to discuss is, should Beyonce and Lizzo, which they changed their lyrics based on two countries that obviously buy their albums.
Right.
So it made sense for them to change. But does that mean that Spaz, Johnny, should he change his name based on people in Australia and the UK?
Maybe. But I think that's something that Spaz really had to figure out for himself. And it's I mean, I get it. It's a term of endearment that you've had for years and years and years. But sometimes we're harming other people without realizing it because of that. Because we want to hold on to something that we love and we know it's an endearment. But we got to think about, now that you actually know more about terms and what's related to it, do you want to continue to hurt people unknowingly? Or now that you know? And that's the thing about toxicality, masculinity?
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. Toxic ableism. Toxic whatever you want to call it. Want to be woke, and I just put quote marks by the word woke because we're throwing that around a little too much too, I think. And I think Ben can relate to that, as a Asian American and how, I'm woke and I'm not going to do Asian American abuse, or I'm woke and I'm not going to abuse the, Black Lives Matter thing. I think we got to get away from those kinds of things too. Tokenism. Tokenism, yes, right. Mike just spelled tokenism to me, but he's helping. But it's because maybe you guys don't know, but Mike is neurodivergent himself, and I've been
because that wasn't obvious to everybody.
But and that's just another marginalization right there because why do we get into the things we're doing? Why are we setting that? And there's so many different things we can talk about when we talk about ableism and stuff. You're talking about language appropriation. You're talking about cultural appropriation. You're talking about appropriation of a term that's a medical term, and now it's a derogatory term. Or queer used to be a bad term, but now the LGBT has reclaimed it and made it something else. And
we that example was used at the beginning of the show.
And that's why I'm bringing that back, because I want you to say we can change these things, we can do these things, but it takes a global movement, no, not a global movement, but a larger community thing to do. And it starts in the schools, but it also starts in the
places like
barbershops, on 60 dad jokes, on where we're all able to have conversations and address those things. Another thing that I really hate, that I think is a very good example of ableism and all that, is inspiration. It is things that inspire you, but it's porn to make you feel good.
So we'll explain that point. Like when you post something inspiring about somebody, like a deaf person being able to, play music or something. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just so inspired. But when it gets overdone, right? So
Right.
Tokenizing.
A great example that you see is, oh, that girl who took 2 years of ASL helped the deaf-blind man on the airplane communicate to everybody. Oh my God, isn't that just so nice? And now you're giving her credit for something that this guy's been flying on airplanes for years and years and years,
probably just fine.
and never had that. But again, we're giving, oh, isn't that nice? You turn on a closed caption on a cochlear implant, which is a medical device to help you hear. And I'm putting quotation marks by here because we really do not know enough. Because that community, the cochlear industry, the cochlear implant industry, is not actually disclosing how well, what is heard, what is the benchmark, apparently the benchmark is if you hear a whistle, oh, you hear now.
So Jake,
how the fuck is that hearing? I'm sorry, but excuse my language, but that's ableism at its best form, right there, in my opinion.
So I'll try to.
Sorry,
Jake's very passionate about this issue. We've talked about it a lot. Basically, the cochlear implant goes into your head. They don't know. There's no way to really test it scientifically. So they just ask, "Did you hear a whistle?" And if you say that you can hear the whistle, whether it's like at 3% or 300%, they can't measure that. So just hearing a whistle is enough to say, oh, you're fixed. This is the part that is mean or isn't appropriate, is, oh, now you're fixed. We've repaired you, right? This is where the hearing impaired comes in.
And it's kind of an invasive surgery, isn't it?
It is a very invasive surgery. I'm going to explain it. They put a metal thing knocked into your brain somehow. I'm not exactly sure how. And part of it sits on the outside usually, but maybe they're putting it inside now.
No, they've always put it inside. They bypass the cochlear implant.
But isn't there a thing that's
there's a magnet that holds the hearing aid in place?
So there's a magnet on the outside of your head that holds the hearing aid on the inside of your head in place.
No, they'll hold the outer part, the microphone at the outer part. Like, okay, I'm holding up my hearing aid as an example because it's what it looks like. So the cochlear implant, the outside looks like this part, and it's the microphone, but that is connected like Bluetooth to the wiring in your ear.
To the wiring
put in.
To the wiring in your ear that they've put in. So yes, it's very invasive. Yeah. We don't know what it does exactly. Now, I know we all hold cell phones up to our head, but this has wires running through your body. You become more and more like Darth Vader or Cyborg or something, right?
Cyborg.
It's like the more that they replace. So anyway, and they don't know that it works. And the information that's out there, and Jake has looked it up countless times, they're very hidden about it because they want to keep selling these devices to parents of kids that can't hear.
Because it's big money.
Because it's big money. And and if there's just a slight improvement, if we can call it an improvement, if you can hear a whistle, but like I said, we still don't know what all that wires does to your head. We haven't tested it. So Jake's very passionate about parents getting their children
the complete information,
getting their children this surgery without knowing everything about it. And that kind of ties into ableism and what he's saying about listen to your kids. It doesn't mean do what your kids say all the time. Mm-hmm. That would be ridiculous, Lord of the Flies. But what it is saying is listen to them and see what they're actually expressing to you.
Right. Don't make the decision for them.
And this whole idea of the cochlear implant
like fixing the hole in your child's heart.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to be able to hear.
Fixing the hole in your child's heart is necessary if you want your child to live.
Right.
Your child can live without a cochlear implant and be entirely fine. And if they had residual hearing, that gets destroyed by the
Oh yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
so that's another thing. If they put the cochlear implant in and you do have some residual hearing, and we come up with something in the future that might be better than a cochlear implant, once you've gone in and rewired it with the cochlear implant, all of that residual hearing is gone because now you've gone in and wired it however they do it. So,
But, I mean, so we have all those things, and yes, obviously I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, and you're giving me a platform here to just kind of not spaz out, but just sound out and just go, hey, let's start waking up, you know?
I think the biggest thing that,
And I'm very passionate about it for all disabled people, but I know the most about deafness. But if you really want to know, in America at least, and you really want to know how to help, find out about the ADA law, find out about the IDEA law, the 504 law. Go to ada.com, and they have a whole bunch of lists of laws. Get the basic idea, then learn how to change your own platform, to change everything, you know? No more hashtag caption, no more accepting auto captions, because we are letting American corporations do that now too. It used to be you had to have hearing people, and they had to be 93% accurate with captioning. It is now acceptable for captioning, automatic captioning, to be between 70 and 80% accurate.
Wow.
So what we're doing right now is we're watching the captions come along the bottom of the screen, and there are mistakes, and it's too slow, and it does all this janky stuff where it repeats and then it goes back and changes what it just said, and like that's acceptable. And if you think that you missed every fifth word in a sentence,
I'm
would be
missing
acceptable.
every second word.
Yeah, well, let's just go with their 80%.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 80%. That means every fifth word you're missing, or even worse, it's incorrect.
Yeah.
So it did get janky stuff correct, which is pretty impressive. 'Cause I didn't know.
I
No.
want to point out, it sounds to me like I want to go backtrack a little bit and say that it sounds like the medical industry, whoever does the cochlear implant, that industry is kind of hinging on people's fears of their kids
yes.
being deaf, and then that is based on this derivative of the view of it being an impairment, which who's to say it's an impairment, right? It doesn't.
It's a double whammy.
By
It's
that, me
all
being short is an impairment.
right. Well, no, I can relate there. It's using the tactic to scare the parents that your kid won't be as well off if they can't hear, right?
Yeah.
Or if they can't talk, because that's another thing they do is they try to teach deaf kids to talk, and they sometimes spend years trying to teach them to do it when they should be learning math and other stuff. But they go to a special class, yada yada. We don't need to get too far into it. But this is
we can go off on so many tangents right now. But
so Jake, I mean, one thing I wanted to touch on was that he said, "But you're giving me a platform," and he really wants this kind of message to get out there. And it's not just toxic masculinity. There's a lot of people that fall prey to this, this toxicity in particular. So I think that it ties into our show. It certainly ties into that article, which we were all kind of like, well, how do we feel about that? But I think a big thing is the lack of platform where deaf people can be heard, as funny as that sounds.
Well, I mean, another great example of that is people who get recognition for sign language. You've seen all those awesome interpreters at concerts and stuff, right? We have so many fucking good deaf performers out there that could be up there on the stage doing it better because they know their language, actually. These interpreters didn't grow up with the language, you know? So they're not going to be able to catch the eyebrow movement, the shoulder twitch, you know? And sometimes it's better to have a black person doing the rap because they know that language. They have that BASL, Black American Sign Language. And that's also, and you want to talk about toxic masculinity or toxic shit, we as white people that are deaf dismiss that shit of black people.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
we could go.
Not we.
Let me-
You don't dismiss it.
No, I don't admit it, but I'm saying it gets, but it's a movement now.
Wow.
It's like when we did Ebonics, right? Remember that whole thing of Ebonics and everything?
I remember Ebonics in school. Maybe Josh doesn't, but I remember that being something that was going to be taught like in Oakland or something.
Yeah,
There was a
stuff
huge
like that. And I mean, I'm not dismissing Ebonics. I'm just saying that as a comparison of what. Oh my God, this is so dumb. This is Black American Sign Language actually proliferated because of racism. They were left alone and not expected to talk, so they were allowed to keep signing down in the South, while the white deaf institution had to transfer into oralism from the 1880s up until the 1980s. So for 100 years, white deaf Americans were put in mental institutions and thought crazy and spazzy, for lack of a better word, because they were signing in public. It's not natural.
That's 1980.
You know,
they were being thrown into mental institutions for signing in public, and you go, "What? That was like 40 years ago. What do you mean we were throwing deaf people into institutions?"
Yeah.
What?
I mean, one of the leaders of those people was Alexander Graham Bell, and Alexander Graham Bell was a big proponent of eugenics. And because of eugenics that proliferated in America in the 1920s, the Nazis took that idea and did it to the Jewish in the 1930s and 40s. Well, the Nazis stole that idea from us.
Not from us, but
I'm just saying,
the 1800s.
You can see how passionate and how crazy I get about stuff, because there are just so many things out there people don't know in terms of American history, whether it's how bad we were with slavery, or how bad we are with our disabled community, or how bad we are with our veterans, or even our male. Yes, we have a toxic masculinity because we're expected to have that bullshit. We're expected to not cry. We're expected to be stoic and tough and suck it up and ball to the wall and shit, And I'm not that kind of person, and Mike will tell you, I am a crier. I'm not kind of crying right now. Because that's the authenticity of me.
That's the authenticity?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're authentic.
Yeah, and my passion, and because it hurts.
Don't make me sit next to you while you're crying, then I'll cry. And I don't like to do that.
Oh.
Sorry,
It's
but
okay to be vulnerable.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
It's okay to
I
be
said, quit
vulnerable.
crying, or else I'm going to cry, so knock it off.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
There's a ton to unpack. Yeah, go for it, man.
No, I again, thank you guys for welcoming me into this space and going off a little bit. I think everybody needs that every once in a while. Now, here,
wait.
I want to...
Wait, let Ben. Ben was going to ask something.
Oh, sorry.
So we'll let that happen, okay? Okay.
Thank you so much, Jake, for being here and bringing your passion and bringing your perspectives, because your perspective isn't heard enough, and that's part of the problem, and that's a big reason why we wanted to have you on the show, so that our viewers can hear from someone maybe they normally wouldn't hear from, and hear your perspective, because I think, like, we're talking about, spaz as a slur, and just first simply trying to understand, why is it a slur? What is the hurt that it causes? And I think the hearing impaired example, I never would have thought that could be a hurtful phrase. I think a lot of people use that phrase trying to be not hurtful, but don't even realize that there is hurt being caused by it. And for our viewers to be able to see, oh, here is someone who can be impacted by the words that we use. And for me, that's the big takeaway in all of this, and in the reading I've done around this since I saw that article about the spaz term, is this idea that our language matters. The words we choose to use matters. Mark Twain says, the difference between the right word and the almost right word is a difference between lightning and lightning bug. One word difference, but a completely different meaning, right?
I got struck by lightning instead of lightning.
By lightning. Right.
Yeah, like just fell on my head.
It's one letter, right? One letter difference.
Yeah, lightning, lighting. Yeah, that's crazy.
I got bit by a lightning bug and I turned into Jamie Foxx from Spider-Man.
Spiderman.
So the words we use have an impact. And for instance, in my day job, I work a lot with youth homelessness. And we don't like to use the word homeless to describe people, or really as a synonym for these.
Are they
folks.
housing impaired?
I mean, well, we don't like the word impaired.
I mean,
well,
that's
right.
The word impaired.
Right?
My goodness.
Yeah, the word impaired would suggest that there's something wrong with them that needs to be fixed, right?
That's right. So you don't call them housing impaired.
We will call them unhoused. Like, just because someone doesn't have a house doesn't determine their identity as human beings. And the word homeless is actually demeaning to them as human beings. It dehumanizes them. And so we'll use language like, here is an individual who's experiencing homelessness, or someone who is unhoused.
That sounds like the
you're
big D and little, the big D and little d, right? So homeless, you have less than, right? So you got your big D, little d, and now you've put them on a tier, which is what Jake was kind of saying. Like if you have a big D deaf and an LD deaf, you're now on a cultural tier, just like somebody who is homeless. They don't have a home. So I don't, that just sounds, there's that mental divergent mind, right? You say one thing and my head goes, oh, this sounds the same as this. It's not always well thought out.
It's interesting because
now I just want to add one more thing, and this is about me.
Johnny, I'm talking about. It's okay. Go ahead, Johnny.
My professor is deaf, born deaf, and that's where I learned about this deaf culture and being deaf. And the thing that Ben was shocked to hear is that hearing impaired is an actual negative way to say being deaf.
It can be.
Yeah,
that's the other interesting thing is it's not for everybody. Like some people want to be called hearing impaired, and how are you going to know? And I would say there's another interesting aspect to that. How do you sign Chicago? How do people from Chicago sign Chicago?
Probably Chicago.
Oh, really? I thought there were different ways.
It's called regional signs. Yes, we do have regional signs. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is here. Other places, peanut butter.
Well, that's good. So the point is it's different in places, right? The language changes in places. Dialect, as well as what people want to be called. So somebody may not want to be called deaf.
No.
I don't know why, but they want to be called hearing impaired.
Or hard of hearing. Right? So you can't, like what Jake's saying doesn't speak for everybody that is hard of hearing, hearing impaired, or deaf. He's just giving his perspective, which is such a weird thing, which is why it's so nice for him to have this platform, because now people are going to at least hear his perspective. People think I'm hard of hearing because I can speak.
Yeah.
Speaking equals hearing. What the fuck? I'm serious, Tom. So they think I can hear and catch on and everything, right? And the pandemic, man, has been bad for the deaf community more than other communities with all the math and shit, right?
Yeah.
So,
reading lips.
So now I just do it back. I'm sorry to all the drive-through people out there that deal with me, and all the grocery store people, because I do not use my mouth anymore. I make them deal with my phone. I make them deal with because I just want to put it back on them. I'm tired. If you're not gonna meet me halfway, I'm gonna be an asshole back. Now, I mean, I love my brother here, but we've had the discussion of if I only have to go 10%, why do I have to go more? And you're going the other 90%. Because that's what I'm doing literally right now. I'm going 90% to meet your guys' need. Yes, you did the caption and everything, but I'm still speaking. I don't have an interpreter. And I'm not putting that on you guys, you know, because interpreters are expensive. Okay? Oh shit, they can make anywhere from $30 to $100 an hour. And so, you know, we talk about that. And like me, for example, we got to start shifting, like how we talk about how autism is on a spectrum, right? Before autism was one thing, but now it's a spectrum because we're starting to realize there's different kinds of autism, right? There's the highly functional, they can live on their own kind of stuff, like the good doctor, to people that I take care of. They need caretakers. They need, you know, whatever. But we got to start doing that with deafness too, because how I am is not representative of the deaf community.
Yeah, that's true.
And we got to shift that mentality too. If you want to have that discussion on another day of spectrums and how we do that, that might be another show.
So that's a lot to unpack for our listeners and my colleagues. So you guys got any questions or anything for Jake, since we're at like an hour and some odd minutes?
I do want to point something out, though, that the people that claim to be anti-woke are the ones that say that none of this matters. That's really what they're saying. They can't be inconvenienced with trying to help someone and meet them halfway.
Yeah,
What the
you
question?
catch that?
No, the captain.
Yeah.
So Mike is going to tell it again for me.
Woke people,
Mm-hmm.
anti-woke people say none of this matters and it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Johnny?
Yes.
So
They both had that attitude.
who does?
Woke and anti-woke.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's going to take a long time for the woke people to actually change their own behavior.
Mm.
And I think that's what got the black community upset, the Asian community upset, the disabled community upset, is we're getting a lot of lip service, but no real change. And now, that's why we're having riots and marching and bullshit.
And if everybody's wearing masks,
Right.
and you're getting lip service, that doesn't do any good.
Oh, that's even worse. Nice pun.
So, yeah, I think that's Jake brings up a good point there. It's like calling the kettle black, right? And you gotta take responsibility and begin to change yourself as well, rather than just give lip service. Oh, I'm woke. I have a Black Lives Matter sign in my yard, or whatever. Or I took a semester of ASL, right?
Well,
So I know a few things, and that isn't to make fun of you, Spaz.
I have a deaf dog.
I took 1/4 of ASL because I'm a terrible brother, but
And you had a terrible teacher.
I did have a terrible teacher, but that's sometimes how it goes. And I need to go back and take some more, but that's just, I don't know. I mean, I think Jake gets really frustrated because we talk about this kind of shit a lot with people giving him lip service and not really putting effort forth to help, to really understand where they're coming from. So again, Jake's been given this platform, which he has brought up a couple of times, and I think that's really where it is. And I think what it seems to me that you are asking for, Jake, is this is a wonderful platform.
Mm-hmm.
And what you want is when somebody sees somebody that is deaf or any difference, right, is to listen to them, to make the effort and take the time to actually listen to them. And if you can apply 5% of what they're asking for, you're one step closer.
You're making their life 10% better.
So I think that's what he's kind of asking for is this is a wonderful platform.
Not only listen, but apply it, you know?
Right.
Not, I mean, listen and ask permission. That's one of the things, I moved to Oregon 10 years ago. And before that, I didn't. And so in Oregon, in Oregon, I did a lot of figuring out of my own shit. I had to own my own shit. I had to stop blaming the world for everything that was going bad with me. Honestly. And when I got to that point, that's when I just became happy and released. And, then I started realizing how I would put in my own privilege of speaking on my deaf friend. So now I ask them, do you want me to interpret for you? If they don't want me to do it, I don't do it. I don't just automatically start interpreting. You don't automatically start doing something for somebody else that had needs or wants or whatever. Ask them if that's what they want you to do. Give them what they want.
Again, well, don't give them what they want. That's a terrible idea.
Well,
do that carte blanche, Jacob. When a deaf person comes up to me and says, "Give me $100," I'm not going to just give them $100. Now, again, he's going back to the same over and over, which is listen, ask, interact, be open, right? And so if you really care, it's one thing to say, "Hey, yeah, I'm woke" or whatever, but then not to act on it, not to actually do it is very frustrating for everybody that comes from a marginalized area. I don't even know how to say that. I mean, there's so many people that are marginalized that what they really want is to be heard and to be counted as maybe not an equal, but an equitable person, an equal person, really. All of the other stuff like being short, ha ha ha, Johnny, right? I'm short too. All that other stuff is like, well, do you feel equal to somebody that's 6'5"? Well, no, I can't ever be equal to them. They're a foot taller than me or whatever.
On a global level, 15% of the world is disabled, and that is the largest marginalized group in the world. It's the disabled people at 15. That's about 1.2 billion people. And I just looked that up before I came on the show.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, think about that. 1.2 billion out of 8 billion. No. It's the largest marginalized group.
You might be able to say women, though.
Well, but women are not marginalized in all parts of the world, though.
No, but if you...
But they have matriarch. I mean, we can go back and forth. And I think that's why they're saying that it's disabled. Because in parts of the world, women are higher than men. In other parts, but overall, as a global thing, disabled people are looked down as second class for numerous different reasons.
Well... and old people and young people too.
Right. I mean,
but I would say the easiest factor to point out there, other than if you wanted to bring up a discussion about marginalized women, is disabled people is certainly a huge amount that all have different needs that we should be listening to. Yeah. I wanted to bring up that they started calling it a world language instead of a foreign language in Oregon because ASL is American Sign Language. So if you learn American Sign Language for your foreign language credit, it's actually not foreign. So they started calling it a world language, which I thought was really cool. And that only happened about 10 years ago.
I thought William Gaudet, who developed it, was from French, and it was 55% French.
Well, the conjugation and the way that you put the sentence structure together is in French.
Syntax, right?
The syntax. It's 60% French based, but the words aren't because the words are the same words everywhere.
Well,
oh no, it is based on French sign.
So let me put it this way: American Sign Language is based on 60% of French Sign Language, which is based on French language, but the other 40% is based on home signs, American Native signs, and English. Martha Vineyard. Yeah. That's a story that you need to hear another time about Martha Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
You don't have enough time for me to tell you everything right now. So
no. We got to get going.
Okay. Well, thank you. So we are running out of time. So thank you so much, Jake, for coming on the show. I really, I think the voice of someone experiencing disability really needed to be heard as we start to engage in this conversation. We haven't solved it. We haven't figured out what we're going to do, but I think hearing your perspective is really helpful. I mean, these are things I never would have considered, like what it's like to be out there deaf and trying to interact with the world, and you don't even think, oh, all these masks, oh, that means that's a huge huge obstacle for you that you have to figure out now.
I did want to say one thing. We did kind of figure one thing out today, Ben, and that is that we all need to be a little bit more open and listen. Even if the other person can't talk, I guess you read what they're writing down for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the one thing that's the big takeaway here that Jake said over and over consistently was, thank you for this platform. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing me. So that's one thing that we can all, and our audience can take, is just take the time to listen. Give them 5-10 minutes. Now, if it's Jake, it's going to take you 2 or 3 hours because he's going to tell you all about Martha's Vineyard and how the English wouldn't let us have sign language because it was a military secret bunch of bullshit. But nonetheless,
Conspiracy murders now.
Conspiracy murders. So I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Ben, but I did want to point that out, that listening is the big thing that I took from this.
Yeah. I love it. Very well said. Sorry, Jody.
No, I'm saying pay attention.
Yeah.
Yes, pay attention. And yeah, so I think your perspective has been really invaluable, and that's really how I wanted to frame up this conversation. And it's going to be a conversation that continues. I think we should, fellas, I think next episode should be like a part 2 of this, because there's a lot more we need to dig into as we figure this out. But I'm glad we could come at this from a place of centering those who are living it, who have the lived experience, and understand why a term could be hurtful for someone. Because I know there's a lot of like people will complain about the PC police, and there's snowflakes. Oh, I don't want to trigger you. This is real. This is a human being who has agency and has the right to be offended if you say something that is offensive. And we need to center them and take those perspectives into account. So I think we're gonna wrap things up here. Thank you all for being here, and the conversation is gonna continue in our next episode in a couple weeks. So any final words, y'all?
I feel like I moved forward sitting here with my brother and really learned a lot about him, and I've got to change some things in my life. But I really learned a lot, and I just had something I wanted to add.
Oh, by all means. Go ahead, Jake.
Go ahead, Jake.
I just wanted to add, for all the things that you talk about, political correctness, snowflakes, and things like that, we need to have allowed that to also proliferate a little too much, too. We need a balance. We need to learn how to take things, and yes, just suck it up sometimes and go, well, that's life. But we don't need to suck it up and take it out every fucking time. You gotta be give and take.
Yeah.
And,
fair enough.
We need to teach that in school too.
Fair enough. Thanks for that, Jake. That wonderful, wise words. And Mers, Mike Mers, we got the Merses here.
We got the Merses. You're in trouble now.
Mike Mers, there is no one on earth I'd want to go into a conversation like this with besides you, because the maturity and just the somberness that you bring to a conversation is off the chart. So you mentioned you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, Ben, what did Will Smith's hand say to Chris Rock's ableist joke?
Oh, what?
That slaps!
Hey, you got us again, Mers. Come on, man. I wonder if the Flesh Prince.
The Flesh Prince of Bel-Air. That's.
Oh, I wonder if old Richard Richards ever finished that lingo book.
I sure did, Benny boy. I worked long and hard trying to make a book that can help men find less offensive terms to say so much so that all the isms will fade away. This isn't necessarily a book, but rather a dictionary. In fact, it's called Dick's Dictionary.
Very poetic.
Oh, I can't wait.
Square 50s guy. Will you ever learn? Anyways, final words, fellas.
I just want to say that perspective matters, and getting perspective and giving perspective is priceless. Oh, and butt cheeks.
Dick's Dictionary at dicksdictionary.org. It's a nonprofit.
Find it on OnlyFans.
Find it on OnlyFans. If you want to see Richard at his prime, at his finest, you can go to Dick's Dictionary on OnlyFans. We'll have Josh, the grandson, announcing as his grandfather gets into a hot tub.
Oh my.
May or may not have a towel or a robe. We'll see on the next Dick's Dictionary, OnlyFans.com.
We got to get Square 50s guy on Cameo. Maybe
On camera? What?
Cameo.
Cameo.
Yeah, that's white voice.
Yes, for
Cameo.
birthdays and children's parties, yes. Okay, well, thank you all for tuning in. Jake, Mers, much appreciation to you sharing your important perspectives, and that's really going to set us up for this conversation about what to do with Johnny Spaz here. So thank you all for listening, and we will see you all next time.
All right. Thanks for listening to episode 21 of Sexy Dad Jokes. Please like and subscribe, and visit sexydadjokes.com to get some merch. Celebrity characters in the show are not affiliated with Sexy Dad Jokes. Materials used in this episode are for criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and/or research. Until next time, all right.
It's super funny because it said clan research at the end on the closed captioning. Like you're researching a clan.
What does it say when I do this?
Not with a K, I hope.
No, it was spelled with a C, but still
Okay,
it was.
goodness.
It doesn't say anything when you do that.
Bloody Clash of Clans and all that shit, right?
Clash of Clans. Go to Clash of Clans, use Sexy Dad Jokes 15 to get 15% off your first purchase.
Affiliate marketing.
Affiliate marketing. Follow the link in the description below.
Smash the
don't
like
forget-
button.
Don't forget to subscribe and like and share with all your friends so that we can finally go effing viral. You better speed
Bye,
that last little
everyone.
bit up at the end. Goodbye.
Aloha. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Be quiet. Stop talking, Dede.
Stop talking.